Hey everybody, Travis Clater back with another strategic thought for the day. And today we're talking about the evolution of video and how it's consumed. Now, it shouldn't be a secret that digital video consumption has skyrocketed in previous years, especially the last few years, and especially this year since we've all been stuck at home during the COVID crisis. But this is again a trend that's been happening for several years. According to the story that I just read, since 2015, streaming video has risen 13% year over year, 13%. And it makes sense when you think about it. I mean, how much time do we spend on our devices, whether that's FaceTiming friends or family or binge watching and streaming our favorite shows? Technology has made it easier for us to consume this type of content. And as technology expands, so does the amount of time we spend with that technology. And since we're all drawn in by video content, that's what we tend to consume as people. And like I said, this is happening faster and faster. That same story pointed out that it took Facebook and YouTube 8 years to get to 1 billion active users. It took WhatsApp 6 years to get to 1 billion active users. And it took TikTok, as much as you may not like TikTok, it took TikTok just 4 years to get to 1 billion active users. That's crazy. And as we look at where we are today and where we're going, video will continue to be the foundation of how we engage with emerging technologies as consumers. And some of the things that we're seeing as a result of the pandemic and life as we're experiencing it in 2020, it won't go away. Virtual and offsite teams for your company, virtual doctor's appointments, happy hours with friends across the country, doing it virtually, virtual workouts, virtual conferences, and virtual shopping, a lot of this won't go away. Even if it does change, it won't go away completely. We've been forced into this virtual world, but again, we've been heading there for quite some time. The COVID crisis just simply expedited that process. So the natural question is, where does that leave us and what should we do? Well, it shouldn't be a surprise that the answer is we need to focus, as brands, we need to focus on video. As communicators, we need to focus on video, whether that's primarily on video campaigns or video content as a supplementing factor. It's really the only way we can keep people's attention these days. And again, it shouldn't come as a surprise to most everybody, but attention spans continue to decrease. A study conducted by Microsoft actually indicated that people now generally start to lose concentration after about 8 seconds, which is down 33% from the year 2000, and yes, is officially less than a goldfish. And here's a fun stat. On average, desktop Facebook users tend to spend about 2.5 seconds on any piece of content on the platform. And compare that to mobile Facebook users, which tend to spend about 1.7 seconds on any one piece of content. That means you have less than 2 seconds, or the equivalent of a swipe up with a finger, to catch and keep users' attention. Consumers want video. They want it because it's dynamic, and brands should create video because it's easier to keep consumers' attention. So here are a couple of takeaways to consider, and there are a ton of advice. There's a ton of advice out there on how to create content and the ways and the techniques and the technology. And certainly go look up those tips and those tricks. But here are some things that I tend to keep in mind as I'm creating video. First is prioritize video when you can. Video shouldn't be an afterthought. You shouldn't get to the end of the content you're creating and go, how maybe how do we maybe kind of fit in video? No, prioritize it from the beginning. Make sure it is part of your strategic plan. Next, it doesn't need to be overly produced or fancy. Of course, it depends on the platform, but there are inexpensive ways to create really compelling video. Again, it doesn't need to be fancy. It just needs to resonate with your audiences. Cell phone video oftentimes will do it, or if you want to get a little more fancy, that's okay. There are ways to do that. But again, that shouldn't be the measure of creating good, compelling content. Next, consider the platform. There are the usual platforms that everybody's used to, like Facebook, YouTube, etc. But there are new and emerging technologies out there that you can investigate and capitalize on as a communicator and as a brand. So make sure that you consider all of those avenues when you're looking at your video content and where to place it. And finally, plan your messaging. Yes, it's video, but words and context will always matter. Context especially matters. So if you're using text on your videos, think about what you're saying and the words that you're using. And for your video, think about the context of the background and how it's coming across and what that could say to your potential audiences. And those are some tips. I hope those are helpful. But there's your strategic thought for the day. Make sure you check back here for more updates or check out our blog at tcstrategic.com, and we'll see you back again soon. Thanks.